Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Naruto ate 3 devil fruit and mastered them early? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Miles Girl 16 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. Link in the description. A young 4-year-old Naruto Uzumaki was walking at the outskirts of the village, where he found some ruins after he fell in a hole after outrunning a mob. As he looked around, he came across a place that seemed like a room and saw a small treasure chest. Being the curious little boy he was, he opened it and saw 3 weird-looking fruits and a letter. There were also books, and he saw that they were books written by a man by the name Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. Kit read the paper. Those fruits, if they're what they are, then they'll make you really powerful, Kurama told him. It's been about 2 months since he met the fox, and he was quite a reasonable and kind creature, kind when compared to what he was used to. It felt like instinct to just listen to him, seeing that a lot of his beatings were avoided because of the fox. Are they really that powerful? He questions. They're really rare and yes, powerful. Going back to the piece of paper, he read it and was shocked. If you've found this underground location, then you've found out the greatest secrets the world has to offer. My name is Trafalgar D. Waterlaw, and the one who used the ope fruit in the box, red fruit. I was a doctor, and because of this fruit, I was able to perform any surgery and cure any disease. The fruit beside it is called the Chiyu fruit, and this gives the person the ability to heal any injury through the liquid, though it shortens a person's lifespan. Then there's the Moku fruit, which gives the person the ability to turn into smoke. That I took from a marine officer named Smoker. You'll understand it better from the books inside the chest. However, a person can only consume one, and if they have 2, they'll die. There are also drawbacks, like you lose the ability to swim. I hope you become a great doctor. There are also other techniques and fighting styles that I hope you find useful. Good luck. Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. This is pretty awesome, isn't it, Kurama? Naruto said in awe. I knew I recognized these fruits. They are indeed useful. But do you want to be a medic? He asked the blonde boy. After thinking about it, he answered, Yup. I'll become a great medic. The greatest in the entire world. But do you think I'll still be able to fight? You sure will. Now, about the curse of the fruits, you can eat them both. I'll keep you from dying and the not swimming one too, along with any other curse. He said. You can do that? Naruto exclaimed in shock. Of course. Who do you think I am? I am the great Kyubi no Kitsune. I will not let mere fruits and water defeat me, he said proudly, and the blonde just rolled his eyes. Say, Kurama, I was thinking. How about I leave the village? I don't really feel safe here, he said sadly, and the great fox couldn't help but feel sorry for the boy. He was only 4 and had the hatred of the entire world on him. Of course. But you'll have to go to your parents' house and get some of their jutsus to take with you. You have to take all of these as well. There seems to be some good things you can use. He replied, and Naruto nodded. He was told who his parents were, and he didn't really care. He didn't hate them. It was clear that they were betrayed by the village, and he hadn't really met them, so I didn't know what to feel. How am I going to take everything? He questioned his friend. Well, I was sealed into 2 seal masters, so I know a bit of sealing things in scrolls, but I have to take control of your body. Then we'll head to Yazushio. Mito went there once in a while, and it's pretty simple. Why Yazushio? He asked, not minding the takeover part. Kurama had taken over his body so that he'll outrun mobs, so it was alright. Well, only a person with Uzumaki blood can enter, so even if the old monkey sent shinobi after you, they won't be able to enter. Besides, that's the last place they'll look. He shrugged, and Naruto nodded in understanding. He didn't hate the old man for hiding things from him because he understood perfectly well. Yup, for a 4-year-old, he had to mature faster than normal. Should I eat the fruits right now? He asked. No, we don't know what the types are, because I think the smoke one will let things go through you, making the escape harder, and if you don't have control over it, it'll cause the old monkey to be suspicious. Alright then. Let's get ready, he said, and hurried in making his preparations. After discreetly going to the Namake's compound, he took all the books and jutsus that he would need to use for his training. He had used the shadow clone jutsus to help him carry the stuff that was inside the chest and others to sneak in the library, and copy down everything that dealt with the human body and medicine. It was easier because of a seal Kurama remembered Mito using before. When everything was brought Tachi compound and all the books and other scrolls brought in pile, Kurama took over and began sealing them all into smaller scrolls and then put them into 3 bags, with 2 shadow clones taking 2 and Naruto himself taking the last. While Kurama was sealing, Naruto sent some clones to go and take some food from the stores. It wasn't hard since it was in the middle of the night, and the store owners were too prideful to put up security seals. They brought that back and Kurama sealed them too. "Alright, time to go," Naruto said, and he would never been seen in the village for a long time. Next day Hokage Tower, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage for a second time, held the title of the god of shinobi was having a problem. It wasn't his normal problem of having paperwork and not having time to read his Ika Paradise, but he hadn't seen Naruto all day today. Normal the boy would always come running into his office to greet him, or he'd hear about one of his pranks, but he had heard absolutely nothing. Now, this got him worried. He felt bad for not being able to do anything for the poor boy and cursed the civilian council for the power they got after Minato's death. He saw He-boy as a grandson, and it pained him whenever he was treated badly. He scanned the entire village, and there was no sign of the boy. "Inu," he said, and a teen wearing a dog mask kneeled before him. "Yes, Hokage-sama, I want you to go find me Naruto. I can't seem to find him anywhere in the village," he said, shocking the Anbu. He had known of Naruto's heritage. Heck, his father was his sensei, and it pained him when the council denied him the chance to adopt him, saying he was mentally unstable. "I'll go right away, Hokage-sama." He bowed and then shined away. He went to the boy's apartment, and after not getting a reply, he let himself in. He saw the place was bare, barer than usual, and before he left, his eye caught a paper that was on his table. "Hey there, Aji-chan. I know it's probably you who'll find the letter, or an Anbu. Well, you don't have to worry about me, I left the village. Isn't that great? I'm really tired of everything and hope you don't send any shinobi after me. See ya, though I might never come back. P.S. I know why people hate me. P.P.S. I also know my heritage, I'm not dumb to not see the resemblance. P.P.S. I don't hate you. Naruto N. Uzumaki." After the Hokage read the letter when the Anbu brought it to him, he let a tear fall from his eye at the thought that Naruto didn't hate him for keeping things a secret, but he had to get him back. Not only was he the son of the Yondaime, but he wasn't safe out there, especially since he was a Jinchuriki. Now he had to deal with the annoying council once they found out. That and Jiraiya when he found out his godson left. "Inu, I want you to take a tracking team and go look for Naruto. He is to be brought back unharmed," he stressed. "Hi," he said, and before he left he said, "Hokage-sama, if I may?" He said, "Speak. I don't care what the council or you say, I will adopt him," he said angrily and then left. "I'm getting too old for this shit." Uchiha District. Mikoto Uchiha was the wife of the current clan head, Fugaku Uchiha. She had 2 sons, the prodigy, Itachi Uchiha, 9 years, and Sasuke Uchiha, who was only 4. Many didn't know this, but her best friend Kushina Uzumaki had named her the godmother of her child, the 3rd Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Oh yes, Mikoto knew her friend was a Jinchuriki, just like the Shanadaime's wife. She wanted to adopt Naruto, but her husband refused, as did the Hokage, saying that if people saw them together, then they'll put together the pieces of his heritage. She thought the entire thing was stupid. The boy looked exactly like Minato, that you could call him his twin. It was like the Hokage was counting on the stupidity of the villagers. She never listened to him though, and secretly met the boy as often as she could, like today. So it was a surprise to her when she saw a piece of paper in her closet. Curious, she took it out and saw an oh-so-familiar handwriting that belonged to her godson. She should know, she was the one who taught him how to read and write, since the idiots at the orphanage refused such basic things for the boy. Opening it, she read it and began crying. He had left the village. He was tired of the villagers' treatment, and apparently learned of his burden and heritage. This made her worry. He was a 4-year-old boy who was out there all alone, and on top of that, he was a Jinchuriki. She didn't care about the last part, but if other villages started finding out that there was a Jinchuriki out there, they would try to get to him. Her worry, however, soon turned into anger, angry at herself for being so helpless. Because she was helpless, a poor boy had suffered, and because she was helpless, her eldest son was becoming an emotionless being. No more, she thought furiously, and promised herself that she wouldn't be helpless. That she would be strong. Konoha's Sharingan mistress was back at full force. 2 weeks later, Uzushio. Naruto had finally reached Uzushio, and he was saddened at the sight of the destruction of his clan's village. He created multiple shadow clones to throw off any shinobi, and he was glad it worked. He didn't need to take a boat, since he read in his mother's journal, while he made his escape, about a secret entrance seal that would teleport an Uzumaki to the village. He had just gotten through everything that he found in the secret lair, with the help of shadow clones, and he couldn't but feel awed at all the techniques and information in the books. He didn't eat the fruits yet because Kurama said he should go through everything, as well as those he got at his parents' house first, which was why he had the 3 fruits in his hand and was about to eat the oak fruit. "You ready, Kurama?" he asked aloud, since there was no one around. "Of course." "Now eat," he said, barely hiding his excitement. So Naruto took a bit out of the fruit and instantly turned green. "You! Why the hell does it taste so, Kurama? Why are you laughing?" he yelled as he heard the fox roar with laughter. "You should have seen your face. It was hilarious," he said in between laughs. The blonde huffed and finished the fruit. "So, what next? Is there something that's supposed to happen?" "Try the room he mentioned in his book." Kurama shrugged. "Okay. Here goes nothing." "Room!" he exclaimed, and there was a small blue sphere that appeared at the palm of his hand. "Couldn't it be bigger?" "You need to train yourself in stamina to make it bigger. Now eat the other one. I'm ready to keep you alive," he said as Naruto felt a bit of red chakra. He took the other one, and knowing it was going to taste bad, ate it really fast. He felt Kurama's chakra healing him, and after a few minutes, the pain went away. "Should I eat the smoke fruit now?" he asked, regaining his breath. "Yes, though you might fall unconscious this time," he warned him. Nodding, he took a bite out of the last fruit. Then everything went black. Inside the seal, Kurama kept a steady stream of his chakra to keep the boy alive, and when he was out of harm's way, decided to remove the weaknesses of each fruit. As he was doing so, he found a surprise in his host's DNA. I know for certain Kushina was a pure-blooded Uzumaki, and Minato was an orphan. That's it. It must be from him. Chuckles, who would have though you would gave such a rare bloodline. This kid really is interesting. Might as well give him access to it now. He won't be up for a while. After a couple hours of changing his body so that Naruto could adapt to the new changes, the blonde finally woke up. He looked around and he remembered that he was in Uzushio, and everything that happened. "Kurama! It worked! I'm alive!" he cheered. "Thanks. You're a really great friend," he said, making the giant fox feel grateful. "Anyways, try the moku fruit, since we can't the heal fruit," he said. "Oh, and I have a surprise for you. Sorta unlocked a bloodline for you," he said. "Really? I have a bloodline," he said with stars in his eyes, "but I don't remember Tusan or Kasan telling me anything about a bloodline," he said as he tried to activate his powers. Instantly, his hand wasn't covered in smoke, it turned into smoke. "Kurama! Do you see this? It's awesome!" he exclaimed, making the fox chuckle. He had sometimes forgotten that this was still a 4-year-old boy. "Yes, it is. Now make a shadow clone and have it throw a kunai at you. But don't dodge," he said, not mentioning that if what he remembered from these types of fruits were what he thought, or it was something else. "Won't I get hurt?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "Trust me, you won't," he replied, and so Naruto did what he was told, and was surprised that it went through him. "This is all way too cool," he whispered. "Yes, now you'll start your training. You'll train here for the next 5 or 6 years in everything that's here," Kurama informed Hai, as he was going to train him. "Say, are you going to be the white hunter, like the marine officer, or the surgeon of death, like Law?" Probably the surgeon of death." "Yup, that sounds way cooler. Alright then, let's start your tour training." Kurama quickly corrected himself. "Wait. What's this bloodline that I have? Naruto asked. Oh, well, I think it's from your father's side, since I know for sure that it wasn't from your mother. Congratulations. You have the wood-release bloodline that only the Shandame had. Isn't that great? He exclaimed as he looked at the blonde, only to find out that the said blonde fainted. Hokage Tower, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandame Hokage, was in his office looking out the window, over the village. The village didn't look quite well over the past couple years. They were being attacked by a new village, the village hidden in the sound, which his former student Orochimaru had created. Somehow, he had gotten Iwa and soon Kumo to join him in attacking the village, and so far it wasn't looking well for Konoha. They were allied with Suna, but even so, numerous shinobi kept coming back injured, some with life-threatening injuries. Tsunade had returned 2 years ago to help in the hospital, but because most medical staff weren't as skilled as her, and with so much life-threatening injuries, a lot of shinobi ended up dying or falling into comas. He regretted not allowing her to start her medical program all those years ago. He really did. Another thing that came to his mind was Naruto. It's been 10 years since the blonde boy disappeared and half of Sarutobi feared he was dead. He had never heard anything from his successor's son. He regretted not doing enough for the boy, even now. The ANBU team said he had used shadow clones to get away and that he had repeatedly thrown them off his trail until he had seemingly disappeared. He didn't know whether he should scold the ANBU for being outsmarted and outrun by a 4-year-old, or he should feel proud that the boy he considered a grandson had done such an impossible feat. Jiraiya wasn't all too happy at the fact that his godson had left the village due to the treatment, and had hardly came back to the village. Not even peeping in women's bathhouses seemed too enjoyable for him anymore, and he used all his time looking for him. The Sandame heard a knock on the door. Enter, he said, and in came his 2 teammates, Hamura and Koharu. These 2 had actually changed for he better after Naruto left. When he showed them the letter he blonde left, their old hearts softened and regretted helping the civilian council and going against their old teammates. They started taking his side in numerous things and even went against Danzo. It seemed that Naruto's departure had made them open their eyes at the village and saw how truly power-hungry the civilians were. Hiruzen, how are you? You should take it easy, Koharu said, her voice filled with concern. If you keep working yourself, the poison will take your life faster. Hamura said sadly. It was about a week ago when Sarutobi had confronted his former student. He had almost killed him, but sustained heavy injuries including poison. Tsunade was able to extract as much as she could, but it was still eating him away, and he knew as well as everyone else, he had about a month at most. Not until I find him. I'll make sure he returns and honor his father's wish. Konoha will see him as a hero. He said with determination, and they knew who he was talking about. On another note, we need the help. We won't win the war anytime soon, and Kumo might even join. Kiri is in the middle of a civil war, so we might not need to worry about them just yet. Has Jiraiya located anyone that could help? Koharu asked. There won't be anyone that might help turn the tables, but we need a very skilled medic. If we manage to save those we send out, then we might be able to pull it off. Hamura said. I suppose? He said, and then an ANBU came in. Hokage-sama, the council has been called into session, he said, making the old man nod. We'll be there shortly. He dismissed him. About the war, no doubt. These civilians have no sense of decency, really. Koharu huffed, making the other 2 chuckle as they made their way to the council room. Council room. Inside the council room were the clan heads that made up the Shinobi Council and civilians that made up most of the influential businesses in the village, that made up the civilian council. Danzo sat at the table as well, as they all waited for the Hokage, Koharu and Hamura to arrive. I see you have all arrived, Sarutobi said as they 3 came in and sat down. Why was this meeting called? Hokage-sama, all the shinobi are coming back either dead or injured. We have to do something and fast or else we'll lose the war, a civilian said as they all started talking among themselves. It's because our Jinchuriki left. You should have handed him over when I told you, Hiruzen. Danzo scoffed. Mind your tone, Danzo. That's Hokage-sama to you, and he was cut off by the doors being swung opened, and in came a black-haired woman. There is an important meeting, Councilwoman Haruno screeched. Shut up, she yelled, out of breath, and then turned to the Hokage. Shizen? Is there something wrong? He asked, worried, since she knew she was a polite woman. Hokage-sama, you have to do something. Tsunade-sama just fell into a coma from chakra exhaustion. She couldn't keep up anymore. She exclaimed, shocking them all. What? Is she all right? A man yelled from the shadows, who was revealed to be Jiraiya. Yes, but we don't know when she'll wake up. We need help in the hospital. There aren't a lot of skilled medics, and those that were there were reduced in half due to going to the front fields. She said, Hokage-sama, this is terrible. Without Tsunade-sama, the numbers will drop. Inoichi said, we can't send the genin either. My son just made it to genin 2 weeks ago and still isn't used to the idea yet. Choza said, Sensei, I found something out. Jiraiya said, you know the White Hunter? He asked, and this got their attention. The White Hunter was a bounty hunter, and a powerful one at that. He used techniques that no one had ever seen before. Yes, what about him? Did you get into contact with him? Shikaku asked. No, the thing is he goes by another alias, the Surgeon of Death. He said, further shocking them. You're telling me that they're the same person? Some asked, bewildered like the rest. The Surgeon of Death was a medic that went around healing people who couldn't afford to pay. People who had met him said he was a kind person and that what he does was nothing more than a miracle. Yeah, they are. I still couldn't get a hold of him, but if I do, then Konoha might have a winning chance. He said, that might not work. They heard the head of the Uchiha clan, Mikoto Uchiha, say, oh, and why's that? He should be honored that he's helping one of the strongest villages. The pink-haired woman screeched. Mikoto gave her a harsh glare, making her flinch, because he isn't fond of Konoha. She said, and the others began talking again. What do you mean, Uchiha Dano? Has Konoha done something to him? Hi, she asked. Do you know him personally, Mikoto? Koharu asked. He is known as many names. The Surgeon of Death, the White Hunter, the Miracle Worker, Kami's Blessings, but he is just a boy that is that same age as the new graduating class. A boy that has seen the harshness of this world from a young age. A boy who was forced a burden that he had no say in. A boy that, despite the harshness and hate the world has thrown at him, is as bright and warm as the sun. A boy who has the generosity, the selflessness of his parents. She said with a fond smile, and with every word she said, Hiruzen began to pale, but what she said next confirmed his suspicions. He is my godson. Why your godson? Choza exclaimed, shock written all over his face just as everyone else there, but noticed that Shikaku and the Hokage looked paled. He wasn't the only one that noticed. Shikaku? Do you know who he is? Inoichi asked his friend. Troublesome. He muttered and buried his face in his hands. How long? How long did you know? Sarutobi exclaimed. Mikoto just looked at him, a harsh glare. For the past 5 years. She dropped the bomb. Everyone was wondering what they were talking about, and why the two seemed to be glaring at each other, and releasing killing intent. Why didn't you say anything? He yelled. Don't you dare start with me. She yelled, standing up with a furious expression. I told you. I told you the consequences of not doing anything, but you didn't listen. I didn't even know he left until I saw the letter, and it was too late. He left because of the stupidity of the people of this village, and you didn't do a thing. She exclaimed. The others kept silent, but the Shinobi Council had a guess at who it was. At least now, when I met his parents, I can at least tell them that their child is having a great life away from the village they sacrificed their lives for. A village that betrayed them. Why, you don't mean? Jiraiya said with disbelief written on his face. Why didn't you? Silence, you perverted fool. Unlike you, I did the best I could for my godchild, and don't you dare start telling me that you had your spy network, because I know you come back every 2 months to give in your report, but apparently peeping in woman's bath is much more important. She exclaimed. That's low, Mikoto. Jiraiya growled. Oh? Then please do tell me? She asked, making the pervert look down. He looked just like him, and it just hurt. He whispered, as the others watched in disbelief that Jiraiya would actually look like the way he was. But Mikoto wasn't one to feel sorry for him. Really now? And did you know that he was exactly like Kushina? He might have looked like his father, but he was all Kushina in the inside. Heck, he even had her verbal tick. And then her expression softened. It hurt me too, Jiraiya. But I'd rather be hurt than see the child that my friend put me responsible being beaten every single day, and he didn't even know why. Are you talking about the Jinchuriki? Danzo asked suddenly. He has a name, Shimura. Mikoto hissed. Ah no, Shizen began, and everyone looked at her, having forgotten she was there. Do you mean Naruto? Have you met him, Shizen? Hamura asked. Why are we talking about the demon? We don't need it. Silence, you pathetic fools. Mikoto yelled. We're in the middle of war right now, and we don't need your childish bickering. Why the civilian council is here in a war meeting, I don't even know, considering all you people would do is run away like headless chickens at the first sight of danger. She sneered, getting a laugh from the shinobi side and a fuming civilian side. Well, Shizen? Sarutobi asked. Ah, yes. He was actually traveling with us 2 years before we came to Konoha. Tsunade-sama was sad that her grandson was going to leave her, but he didn't want to return. She said, her grandson? Shibi Aburame asked. Yes, Naruto's father is Tsunade-sama's secret son. She didn't publicize it in fear that others might harm him. She said as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. His father? Some asked. You people don't know who Naruto's father is? Shizen asked in surprise. Getting off topic here. Anyways, do you believe that he'll help us? Sarutobi asked, before his heritage would be revealed. I'm not sure. He might not. Mikoto shrugged. I'll look for him. Do you know the last time where he was? Please, I want to apologize to him. Jiraiya pleaded. Mikoto just looked at him and sighed. She felt bad for him, somehow. Honestly, he doesn't tell me where he's located. Just what he's been doing. But I believe you might find him near Kiri. I think he said something about helping in a war. That was a day ago. You might catch up to him if you leave now, though. She said. Great, I'll get to him immediately. We'll send a squad of ANBU with you. Koharu said. I'll be going too. Hiruzen declared, standing up, shocking them. Don't be absurd, Hiruzen. You're needed here. You're the Hokage. Danzo exclaimed. Yes, I'm the Hokage. You don't dictate my actions. He yelled. All right then. Let's go get him back. Jiraiya said. I hope you're all right, Naruto, near the fire-water border, and that should do it. Just make sure she takes it easy for about a week and then she'll be fine. A blonde boy said to a family of a father, mother, and their daughter. Thank you? Thank you for healing my mother. The girl thanked him with tears streaming down her eyes. Are you sure there isn't anything we can do for you? The man asked him, holding his wife with happiness. No, it's all right really. I'll be on my way now. He said. See, could you please tell us your name? The woman asked. People call me the Surgeon of Death. He said, tipping his hat a bit, and then left. Naruto had lived a very decent life for the past 10 years after he left the village. He had finished his training in 5 years without any contact with the outside world. He then left the island at the age of 9 to gain outside experience, which had greatly benefited him before he heard of a person by the name Tsunade Senju, and went to go pay her a visit. Kurama told him about her being the only Senju alive and that she might be related to him. Turns out she was actually his grandmother, something his father actually revealed. Thanks to Kurama, he learned that his parents sealed a bit of their chakra into the seal and he was able to bring it out. They were angry at Konoha, but proud at him for not wanting revenge, but were also worried about his well-being, since a 4-year-old alone in the open is quite dangerous. They supported him when he said he wanted to become a medic and were proud that he wanted to heal those who couldn't afford it. They said he should think of a way to gain money as well, which was why he adopted the White Hunter persona, but as a different person. He wore a white coat that had White Hunter written on it with black, while his Surgeon of Death persona had a black coat with the words written in a fire-red color in honor of his mother's hair, and the same color flames, in honor of his father. He also wore Law's hat, where he found it in the hideout. Minato told him how his mother, Tsunade, hid the fact that she was his mother, posting him under as an orphan, though he lived with her. She did this in case they wanted to turn him into a breeding stock if he had the wood-release bloodline, but it seemed to skip some generations when he told him that Kurama was able to unlock it for him. He had met her about 4 years ago, and she was thrilled that she had a grandson, and angry at the treatment that he went through. Apparently, she didn't know he even existed, and when he told her he was training to be a medic, she immediately began pounding chakra control into him. Needless to say, it worked, and he had nearly perfect chakra control. They parted ways 2 years ago, when Jiraiya came asking her to come back for the war, and even he knew she had to go. She wanted him to come with her, but he refused. He wasn't ready to go back just yet, and he liked his freedom. "Ah, Haru, it's been a while. You've brought me a message?" he asked the crow that landed on his shoulder. Opening it, he read it from his godmother, Mikoto Uchiha. She wrote what had happened at the council room, and his heart almost stopped when he heard his grandmother went into a coma. He also read that the old man was actually coming out to get him this time. "Damn! What am I supposed to do now?" he said. "Maybe it's time, Kit. Time to face your own demons. Time to face your past." Kurama said. "But I don't want to go back." "But if I don't, then Tsuneba-chan might never wake up. They'll treat you with respect this time," he answered. "I know you like your freedom, kid, and trust me when I say that I like it when you're happy, but I think it's time you settled down somewhere. You're almost 15 and you haven't even dated a girl yet, let alone your first." He chuckled. "You really think I should?" Naruto said after keeping quiet for a couple minutes. It wasn't like Kurama to want to bring him harm, but if he believed he should go back, then maybe he should. He could tell from the looks of his parents that no matter how hard they hit it, they wanted him to live in Konoha. "How about you do this? You sign a contract with them. They choose whether they want the doctor you or the hunter you, because now doubt your little stunt last week got wind of people like Jiraiya and he put 2 to 2 together. Sign a contract with them. When it's over and you don't like staying in the village, you can leave. It's as simple as that. Besides, your godmother was worried about you. She cares deeply for you," he said, and it was true. Even though he had left a letter for her, every time she could get contact with him, there would be yelling, in the form of a letter, and then she'll write the reason why she wrote in the first time. "I suppose you're right." Naruto nodded. "But I'll wait for them to come here. It shouldn't take long," he said, and walked to his hotel room from some much-needed rest. Near Firewater Border, the Konoha team consisting of Jiraiya of the Sannin, the Sandaime Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi, clan heads, Suminozuka the head of the tracker team, Heishi Hyuga, a tracker team, and an ANBU squad. It had taken him 3 days to get here, and they just hoped that Naruto was still in the area. The ANBU were hidden, in case something happened, as were the tracking team. He was last seen at that hotel, sensei. "We should hurry," Jiraiya said, getting out of a shop that served as his intel for his spy network. "All right. Let's get a move on," Hiruzen said as they moved towards the hotel. The town they were in was a bit run down, seeing as it was where some of the battles between rebels and loyalists had fought. The hotel itself wasn't all that great, but was enough to stay in and feel comfortable. "Hello, we're looking for a young boy who stays here. He has blonde hair and blue eyes and perhaps 3 scratches on each of his cheeks," Jiraiya asked the receptionist, as his sensei and the 2 clan heads walked in. "Oh, that young fellow. Quite kind and handsome. He came here about a couple days ago and helped a lot of people. Cured even the most deadliest diseases." She said dreamily. "You're not going to cause him any trouble now, are you?" she asked threateningly. No, we were looking for him. See, I'm his godfather, and this is his grandfather," he said, pointing to Hiruzen, who looked a bit paler than usual. "We were looking for him for so long, and we're glad we finally tracked him down here. Can you tell us which room he's staying in? Family? The boy does deserve happiness." She nodded her head as she went through some papers. "Room 306. He never came out today, so he's there," she said. Thanking her, they went up the stairs to the 3rd floor. "He seems like a good kid," some commented. "He is," Hiruzen said, "and I'm glad that he still has his good heart despite what the village has done to him. I just hope it lets him help us," he said, making them wince. Sim and Heishi, although didn't go against the boy, didn't do anything to help him either, and Jiraiya was the boy's godfather, so he wasn't any better. Reaching the door that said 306, they looked at one another, and then Hiruzen knocked the door. They heard shuffling and then, I told you guys don't have to give me anything, and then the door was opened wide and they all had one thing in their minds. Minato! The boy had blonde hair that reached the bottom of his neck with spikes with a wild look. His eyes were piercing sky blue, and the whisker-like that he used to have were all but faded. He wore a black coat with familiar flame markings and held a white hat in one hand and a sword into the other. He looked at Hiruzen first, and then his eyes widened and his mouth hung open. JJJG-chan! He exclaimed, falling on the ground, and they couldn't help but laugh. In all honesty, Naruto, although he knew they were coming, he didn't expect to see them right then. There were so many people that kept knocking on his door. He was actually on his way to tell the receptionist to stop giving people his room door. Hello there, Naruto. It's nice to see you. The old Hokage smiled. Do you mind if we come in? He asked, and the blonde nodded. Sorry about that, old man. It's just the receptionist keeps telling people where I am and they keep giving me things. He exclaimed, pointing to a pile of gifts. So, what can I do for you? He asked. Hiruzen, to the shock of everyone there, went on his hands and knees and bowed. I am so sorry I didn't do enough to stop the treatment of the villagers. What they did was unacceptable, and it was because of my weakness that you had to suffer. I only wish that you forgive this old man for the mistakes he had caused in your life. It was something no child should have ever went through, and I know Minato and Kushina would be ashamed by the actions of Konoha. He said, a couple of tears escaping his eyes, though no one saw it. Naruto looked wide at what he was seeing and saw that it wasn't something that even the other three, or the hidden Anbu were expecting. Oh, Ji-chan. I don't think a Hokage is supposed to be seen like this, he said, trying to get him off the floor, but the old man wouldn't budge. Look, I said I didn't hate you. I was honest then. I understand your position and all. We just blame the civilian council and the stupidity of others and leave it like that, any? He smiled, finally managing to get him off the floor. Thank you? Thank you? He bring the blonde boy into a hug, which he happily returned. He wouldn't lie and say that he wasn't happy to see the old man. So, I know that you didn't come all the way. What the hell? Naruto exclaimed as the Hokage had seemingly fainted. Damn it, sensei! Jiraiya exclaimed. He pushed himself way too far. He muttered, What's going on? What happened to him? Naruto asked. Hokage-sama went into battle with Orochimaru and was fatally poisoned. Tsunade was able to get as much of the poison out as she could, but he still won't live long. Hayashi answered. We didn't think it would be this soon though. Some added. Okay, everyone stand back. Naruto commanded. What are you going to do? Jiraiya asked him, bewildered just like the rest. I'm a doctor and my grandmother said I'm even better than her. Now move if you want him to live, he said, narrowing his eyes. Hesitantly, Jiraiya placed Hiruzen on the ground. I hope you know what you're doing. Jiraiya said. Room. Naruto said, completely ignoring him, and they saw a blue sphere envelope the room. Scan. He said, using his sword, and saw multiple infected areas. He could get them out, though it would take time, so he got to work. The others saw how he cut through the Hokage like nothing and started yelling protests. If you don't shut up, I'll lose my concentration. He roared, shutting them up. He was a happy person and kind, but became serious when in the middle of a surgery or treatment. This was someone's life. After about 20 minutes of taking them all out, he put the old man back together, who woke up in the middle of the surgery. He looked much better with each piece that was removed. How do you feel, sensei? Jiraiya asked. I feel much better. Like normal, he said, and they all looked at Naruto in awe. What they say was amazing, and if he agreed to come back to the village, then they would win for sure. I need a blood donor, Naruto said. Why would you need that? Hiruzen asked. Just someone give me their arm. The blonde boy sighed, and thus Jiraiya gave him his arm. Placing his over the arm, a dandelion gave out and he took the yellow part of the plant and placed it over the Hokage's chest, putting it in. Then he drew up seals and whispered, seal. Usually the effects of the heal fruit wasn't permanent, but he was able to create a seal to make it so. What did you do? I've never seen anything like it, kid. Some asked. Well, when you're running away from a mob, you find interesting things. He said, cleaning up the mess, making them wince. What do you mean? Jiraiya asked. I don't have to answer you, Jiraiya. He said coldly. I'm actually surprised you're helping in the war. Isn't your peeping much more important? He said, and the Toad Sannin and Hokage eyes widened. He knows, they thought. Hey now, you don't have to be so rude. Some said, not understanding his hostility towards the Sannin, though Hayashi, keeping in mind the conversation in the council room, had an idea. I have every right to not ever seeing his perverted face. He scowled. Why the hell are you here anyways? Now that I have some value, you're interested in seeing me? He asked as he saw Jiraiya look away in shame. What's the matter? Thought this was going to be some kind of heartwarming reunion, huh, dear godfather? He sneered, and some gasped. Godfather! She exclaimed, understanding why the boy was so hostile. Now, Naruto, I know you feel upset, but Jiraiya had his spy network to manage. He wanted to take care of you, but he couldn't. He had spent the last 10 years looking for you. Hiruzen said, trying to reason with the boy. I know, and I'm not going to act all spoilt-like, but tell me, did he not come to the village once in a while? Couldn't he at least tell me he was related to me through some way? He asked, making him look away. I thought so. The only reason I forgave my grandmother was because she didn't know about me. She didn't even know I was conceived because she was out on a long-term mission and didn't get any contact with him for a year until she was told he died in the Kyuubi attack and never bothered to come back after the mission. He told them, I am really sorry. I know what I've done and that there's no excuse to it, but please give me a chance. Jiraiya pleaded, bowing his head. After a couple minutes of silence, Naruto spoke up as he sighed. Look, I'm not a bad person, despite where I was born, so I guess I could give you a chance. He said, making the Sannin lit up, but I won't consider you my godfather, maybe a friend? He said, so, the name's Naruto, nice to meet you. He said, giving a mock salute. Jiraiya, the Gamma Sannin. He said, too relieved to give his diabolical speech. Hayashi, believing enough time was wasted, cleared his throat. I believe we should begin talking about the reason we are here. The second reason, actually. You want me to help you in the war. Naruto stated. Yes, we heard you are both the bounty hunter White Hunter and the doctor surgeon of death and wanted your help in the war. We didn't know it was you at first until Mikoto told us. Hiruzen said. Yeah, well, I could never really see myself helping Konoha. It's kinda weird, Dedabale. He laughed but noticed their ashamed looks. I'll be honest. I don't really want to go back. I like my life here and everything, but Kurama says I should settle down and stuff. Kurama? Jiraiya asked. Yup, you know him with his tittle Kyuubi no Kitsune. He said, greatly shocking. You trust that vile creature? Hayashi exclaimed. Hey! I resent that comment. Funny thing is, I see Konoha as a vile creature, and yes I do, with my life. He smirked as he heard Kurama chuckle. Besides, it's not like he wanted to attack. He was being controlled that night by the masked man that released him from Mom's seal. He shrugged. Masked man? Hiruzen asked. Yeah, he told Dad that he was called Madara Uchiha. He said, greatly shocking them. But he's supposed to be dead? They exclaimed. Yeah, but it was him. He controlled Kurama when he and Hashirama Senju fought at the Valley of End, so he should know best. He said, anyways, how about I go under a contract? If I don't like the village when the contract is over, then I'll leave. If I change my mind, then I'll stay. That sound fair? Fair enough. Hiruzen said, thank you. He smiled. Oh, and one more thing, I don't kill people, just a heads up. Then how do you get their bounties? Hayashi asked. They want them dead or alive, so I give them alive. I'm a doctor first. I save lives, not end them. He deadpanned and they nodded in agreement. Are we supposed to get going now? You'll need back at the village, sensei. Jiraiya said. I should get going. He nodded. I can't go just yet. I still have some people to heal. Naruto said, why don't you go ahead? I'll be at the village in a week's time. Okay. I'll be waiting. The Hokage said. Hokage-sama, you can't, Some exclaimed. I trust him. He will come. Hiruzen said with finality, and Naruto nodded and thanks for his trust. Uchiha compound. Itachi Uchiha had come home from patrol duty around the village's preliminary to find his mother in the living reading a letter with a happy expression, though she was happier than usual. He had seen her like this before and knew that it was because of a boy named Naruto. He had never personally met the boy, but he had respected him for holding the kyubi and felt sorry for what he went through. He knew of the letters that went between his mother and the boy and was glad he cared enough to tell his godmother that he was all right. "Ah, Itachi! You're back," Mikoto said, looking up to her son. "Hi, I just finished patrol duty." He smiled. "Well, that's good. Your bath is ready and your food is almost done, so go get yourself cleaned up," she said, and he nodded, not before giving his mother on the cheek. He was grateful for his mother for what she did. A couple years back the clan was planning a coup and he was forced by his father to act as a spy. Back then, only the Uchiha elders knew about it, and his father didn't tell his mother, knowing she would oppose the plan. He had told the Hokage and he told him to spy on his clan, but it seemed like his mother had caught on that something was wrong. It wasn't that much of a surprise. She was Konoha's Sharingan mistress, as she along with Kushina Uzumaki and Hitomi Hyuga were well-known best friends throughout the elemental nations, though she had retired when he was born. She had confronted him and he knew he couldn't really keep anything from her, so he told her. Something he was glad of because she had taken matters into her own hands. She had asked him to train with her for 6 months so she could get back to par to where she was, and even he was impressed that she was much stronger than he was, even without her Sharingan. There were only a few women that unlocked their eyes, and she was one of them. After that, she had stormed into a council meeting and challenged his father to a duel for position of the clan head, which he accepted. Now one really believed that she would win, and when she did, she dropped the bomb on them about her knowledge about their plans. Needless to say, they were angry at him, but he didn't care. The rest of the clan, thankfully, were against the plan as well, and the next day all the traitors were going to be executed, but she spared them but kept them on a tight leash. He told the Hokage about what had happened along with his mother who had accompanied him, to which she deeply apologized, making the old Hokage smile in relief. Their father, although he lived with them, didn't like her because she had humiliated him. He would have though that Sasuke would hate their mother, but he actually praised her, and instead of wanting to be like their father, he began idolizing his mother, saying he would marry a strong woman like her. It was around that time she had given birth as well to his now 7-year-old little sister, Satsuki. The Uchiha clan had flourished well under his mother's reign, and they had gotten back their respect and honor from the villagers' eyes. She had also apologized to him for not doing enough for him when he was younger, and immediately told him to resign from ANBU and become a normal jounin, which he happily did. ANBU was something that his father had forced him to become, and now that his mother had given him freedom to do what he wanted, he truly felt at peace. "Oh, Itachi, we'll be having a guest staying over, all right?" Mikoto said over her shoulder, making him wonder if Naruto was going to come help in the war. He shrugged and went to go get cleaned. 3 days later, a lone figure was approaching the large, never-closed gates of Konoha. He wore an all-too-familiar black coat with fire-red flames at the bottom and the words, "Surgeon of Death" on it. He wore a white hat with small gray patterns and a sword in his hand. He wore baggy black pants, black boots and a white shirt. The gatekeepers saw the person coming and halted whatever activities they were doing. "Halt! State your business," one stated. They looked at the boy and were shocked at his cold, calculating blue eyes. He simply gave them a scroll and they let him pass, not before he had to write down his name. "Man, he might be young, but damn, his eye were scary," An said. "I know. Did you see what was written on the back of his coat? Forget that. He had the same markings as the yondaime," the other exclaimed. Hearing something drop, he looked at his partner, who was ghostly pale. "What's the matter?" "I think I know why," was all he said as the other picked up the book. "Naruto? Isn't that the Kyubi Jinchuriki that left long ago? Read the last name, you dim-wit." And as he read it, he too turned ghostly pale. "We messed up, huh? Konoha messed up big time," he said. On the book that was lying on the ground was written, "Naruto Namikaze, Konoha." Naruto had finally arrived in the village, and immediately made his way to the Hokage Tower. He saw the village being rebuilt, and how gloomy it seemed. There were people who were looking at him with fear and others with suspicion, but he didn't bother with it. As he walked by, he saw a flower shop and decided he should buy some flowers for his parents. Hello? Welcome to the Yamanaka flower shop. How may I help you? A blonde female said with a cheerful voice. Hi, I just came to get some flowers, he said, giving her a small smile. Oh, okay. If you need any help, please do ask, she said as he picked up some yellow and red flowers. He placed them on the counter as the girl looked them over. How much are they for? He asked. If you don't mind me asking, are you new here? She asked. Ah, yes, I just arrived actually. These flowers are for my parents, he replied. Oh, so you were away on a trip of sorts? They must be glad to have you back. She smiled. My parents are dead. I left the village 10 years ago and just came back, so I thought I'd visit their graves first, he said, pulling out his wallet, as he took off his hat and placed it and his sword on the counter. Oh, I am so sorry, she stammered, embarrassed that she brought up a dreadful topic, and a blush appeared on her face after seeing his face. It's all right. I choose these flowers because my mother had red hair, while my father had blonde. Actually, people normally mistake him for me. He smiled. Oh? She said, as she arranged his flowers. I'm guessing you're a shinobi with that sword? Hi. But I'm more of a doctor really. Are you a shinobi? He asked. Yup, just became a genin 2 weeks ago. We have to do these boring D-rank missions, she complained, making him laugh. I suppose you'll be a part of this generation's new Ino Shikachou, he said, making her gape. How do you know? Everyone knows their great teamwork. I suppose your father is the Ino of the current one? They say it's the strongest tag team yet. You sure have a reputation to uphold. Hi. It's usually the clan head, and seeing that I'm heiress, I have to be stuck with a lazy ass and a fat boy, she whined, seeing it was so easy to speak to the hot guy in front of her. Well, why don't you think of ways to motivate them? One of them is lazy, so tell them to train maybe this amount of time, and you'll, I don't know, keep away what he hates most. I heard most Nara women are found to be troublesome by the Nara males. And they both laughed. Yeah, that could work, and I could reward Chuji with food later. Thanks a lot, she said, finishing his flower arrangement. Glad to be of service, he said, giving her a slight bow. So, what kind of training did you go through in the academy? If I had stayed in Konoha, I would have been graduating this year too. Sorta glad I didn't. Why is that? She asked curiously. Well, you see, in the villages, the academies usually sugarcoat how a shinobi's life is. But it's far too gruesome. There's so much killing involved, rapists and slave dealers. The world is filled with so many evil people, then there are those that are caught up in it with no real choice. Like the bloodline purges in Kiri. He whistled, not noticing her paling face. Be bloodline purges? She asked shakily. Sorry, I forgot how people in Konoha are so well sheltered, he said. No, please tell me, she said with a fire of determination in her eyes. All her life she was after such petty things, but the more she heard of the outside world and how gruesome a shinobi's line of duty was, the more she realized that if she wanted to survive, then she would have to train. Thanks for telling me. I never really knew a shinobi's life was like that, she said. It's all right. Like I said, everyone here is too sheltered. It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, he said, and she nodded in agreement. Well, the total would be 50 ryo, but take it on the house for your great advice. Since you're somewhat new, I suppose, I could show you around the village if you'd like, she suggested. Arigato, but I'll find my way around. I might ask if I need help though, he said. She gave him his flowers and said, Oh, my name is Ino Yamanaka, by the way, she shouted after him. Placing his hat on his head, he tipped it a bit and said, Nice to meet you, Ino. Name's Naruto Namikaze. And then he left. When she was sure he was gone, she yelled, He's so hot. She squealed. Who is Ino? Her father said from behind her, making her yelp in surprise. It's this new boy. He had just arrived in the village, and he was so kind and fun to talk to. He was way hotter than Sasuke and much kinder, she said, and every time she thought about the Raven boy, she kept wondering what she saw in him. Actually, Daddy, I don't like Sasuke anymore, she declared, getting a bug-eyed reaction from her father. What? He exclaimed. His daughter, Ino Yamanaka, the one who would always say how awesome Sasuke was and how she would marry him, had given up on him just after meeting another boy. He felt like going up to the boy and granting him whatever he wanted. Oh, and Daddy, could you help me with my training in the clan techniques? I want to get stronger. Actually, I'll get stronger than you and get Shikamaru and Chuji in on it too. Then we'll become the greatest Ino Shikacho there is, she said with determination, making her father's jaw slack even more. What's with this sudden change, Ino? He asked, somewhat afraid that she was an imposter. Well, I'm a shinobi now, Daddy. I have to be strong, and the guy that just came in said that the Ino Shikacho were well known for their teamwork. He said that you and Uncles Choza and Shikaka were the strongest team as of yet, and I'm not going to be second best. As your daughter, I have a reputation to uphold. She said, Oh, mind the store, Dad. I'm going to go see Aunt Yoshino. Ino said, setting her apron down. Why? Inoichi asked. So she could help me with Shikamaru, of course. I'll just invite Chuji to a meal after every training session. He'll do anything for food, she said, skipping out of the store. Wait, Ino! Inoichi yelled after his daughter, making her stop before she closed the door. Who is this boy? Did you get his name? He asked. Yeah, he said his name was Naruto Namikaze. She said, You know, the name Namikaze seems familiar. Oh well. See you, Daddy. And she was off, leaving her dumbstruck father behind. Coming downstairs was Rika Yamanaka, Inoichi's wife, and she had a look of confusion as to what could have happened to her husband. Inoichi? What's the matter? She asked, helping him up. He looked at her and only said, The Yandame's son really is a miracle worker. Hokage's office. There was a knock on the door, and in came Naruto after he was told he could enter. There standing before him was the old man Hokage, looking better than ever, Jiraiya, a crippled guy, and two old people. Hey, old man. Came just like I did, he said, and then turned to the other three in the room. It's nice to meet you. The name's Naruto Namikaze, he said, slightly bowing. Koharu and Hamura nodded and smiled at his manners while Danzo ignored him, still angered that he couldn't mold his weapon. Yes, I hope you had a pleasant trip, he asked. Yeah. Stopped by the flower shop and then to the graves if you don't mind, he said. I completely understand, Hiruzen said, knowing he wanted to see his parents. Now about the contract, he said, pulling up a paper. First off, we'd like to thank you for considering and actually helping us in our time of need. We would understand if you refused, as it is entirely your right. Hamura. Yes, we are glad you are able to get past what happened before and hope you like your stay is pleasant. Koharu added. Arigato for understanding. For the contract, I'm not asking for much, just my inheritance, and the people I'm working with won't be complete assholes. Perhaps when the war is over we could write up an amount for my services. He shrugged. The people in Hirum blinked and looked at him. That's it. Surprising, it was Danzo who spoke. Yeah, what did you want me to do? Start demanding the impossible? Like I said, I know you people can't really afford that much, and I believe that my inheritance wasn't touched, he said, and they looked at him with admiration. The honesty, though, he was going to start demanding millions of Rio and whatnot. It just goes to show that he really is like his parents, humble and honest and generous. Thank you, and you're right. From the various attacks, our budget has declined greatly. Koharu smiled. But like I told the old man, I don't kill people. I'm a doctor first. I save lives, not end them, he said. That's understandable. We need your expertise in the hospital. After you cured Hiruzen, many people trust your skills greatly. Hamura said. This is complete utter bullshit. Danzo exploded. You're a Jinchuriki. You're supposed to be a weapon and tool. Of course you're supposed to kill people. Last time I checked you weren't Hokage and the old man was. He raised his eyebrow, the fuming cripple. Besides, what I do isn't your business. Why you dash? Alright, Danzo, that's enough. I believe we should get going to the council room now. People would like to know of our decision, Jiraiya said as they all made it to the council room. Let's get the show on the road. Naruto exclaimed. Aji-chan, do the civilian council still bother you? Sighs, they are. What's the word? Troublesome? Jiraiya grinned, making them laugh. Naruto suddenly stopped, with a cry. I nearly forgot, he said. What is it? Hamura asked. Nah, never mind, I'll do it later. And shrugging their shoulders, they continued their way. Council room. Gathered in the council room were the shinobi council, who were waiting calmly, and the civilian, who were causing unnecessary rucks. The door opened, revealing it to be the Fire Daimyo and his wife, Lady Shirjimi. Fire Daimyo-sama. It's an honor to have you here with us. Saya Haruno screeched. What do we owe his visit for Daimyo-sama? Hayashi asked curiously. I heard that Hiruzen had left the village. I believe he had returned? He asked. Yes, I have, Daimyo-sama, Hiruzen said from behind him as the group of 6 had entered. Naruto, with his hat still on and so his hair wasn't really seen, only looked on with his eyes. The shinobi side immediately recognized them, but the civilian side didn't. Hokage-sama, who is this? Why is he here in an important meeting? A civilian yelled. Do you people not know how to speak softly? The Fire Daimyo asked sternly, making them shut up. Naruto and the daimyo looked at one another until they both smiled. It's nice to see you again, Aji-sama, Shijimi Oba-sama, he said, shocking them all with his blunt and familiar words. And Naruto Hiruzen began, wanting to reprimand the boy, but was stopped by the daimyo's laugh and his wife hugging the blonde. Oh, it's been so long since we've seen you, she said, hugging him tighter. Sure, Jimmy, I think you're killing him. Her husband pointed to the blue boy. She let go immediately. But it's true, you don't come around anymore, my boy. It's been too long indeed. He said, giving the blonde a hug as well, but not as suffocating. Those present were beyond shocked at what was happening. Gomen. There were a lot of attacks that happened due to the wars in Kiri, and people come into the border of the country for protection, thought they're all injured. He said sheepishly. Don't worry, we understand. It's kind of you to help them, he said, ruffling the boy's hair. I believe I speak for everyone when I say what in the world is going on. Jiraiya exclaimed. Oh, it's nothing really. He saved my life after I was critically injured, and we've been in contact since. The names he calls us are affectionate, and still respectfully, so we don't really mind. He said. Well, I'll leave you here. I have to go look for Tora. She said. Stay safe, Naruto-kun, alright? She said, giving him one finally hug, and then left. Naruto turned to the daimyo and asked, That cat is still alive? Unfortunately no genin team was able to kill it, he said dejectedly. Oh, how he hated that cat. It's alright, Aji-sama. One of these days, he said, patting his back. Anyways, I believe that there was a reason for this meeting, the daimyo asked. Yes, due to the war, we have enlisted help to aid us, Hiruzen said, as they all took their seats. Oh? And who is he? Saya screeched. What the hell is up with her voice? Wish I knew. Maybe I could find a way to remove her voice completely? That is a good idea. I believe the young man might introduce himself. Hiruzen grinned as they all turned ghostly pale, the civilians, when Naruto took off his hat. Hello? My name is Naruto Namikaze, clan heir to both Uzumaki and Senju clans. I was asked personally by the Hokage to help in the war and here to review my contract, he said, and you could literally hear a pin drop. Naruto-kun. A very sweet voice came, and to his horror he saw the all-too-kind-looking face on Mikoto Uchiha. Hey there, Oba-san, he gave a dry laugh and then started crying. Please don't kill. Oh, Naruto, you're making it seem like I'm a bad person, she said, stepping forward, and then punched him on the head. You idiot. Do you know how worried I was about you? What were you thinking? A 4-year-old child doesn't just up and leave a village, she exclaimed, and then brought him into a hug. I'm so glad you're safe, she whispered, and he wrapped his arms around her. He knew she was worried sick about him, but it still felt nice to see. He can't be the Yandame's son. That's impossible. He's telling lies. The fox is playing tricks. Silence. The daimyo roared, making them all shut up. How the hell are you people so blind to not see the resemble? Besides, he is his son. Do you really think the Yandame would have sealed the Kyuubi into another child if he couldn't his own? He asked them. Now then, Naruto here will help us in the war. He will help out in the hospital, and he's under a contract, meaning he will be able to leave once the war is over. Hiruzen said. He can't leave. He's the Yandame's son. One of the civilians said as they all started agreeing with him, making the shinobi sighed and others' sweat dropped. Bipolar much. Naruto muttered, although the shinobis heard him and tried not to laugh. I say we put him under Ciare. Saya said smugly, seeing that she wanted her daughter to marry him and then get all the fortune. What part of under contract don't you understand? He hissed, Hey, I remember you. You always wanted me dead and now you want my money. Self-absorbed bitch much. He said, getting Snickers around and a fuming pink-haired Haruno. Oh? What's this about wanting you dead, Naruto? The daimyo asked, making her sweat. Well, I don't know if you just heard what they were saying a few seconds ago about my death, but I know for certain the civilian council has always wanted me dead. Actually, everyone's always wanted me dead except a few. He said as he laughed. They reviewed the contract and everything was approved of. Before things ended, Inoichi spoke up. Naruto, I wanted to ask if you were at a flower shop today? Yes, I was. Your daughter was the one who helped me out, I believe? Yes, I just want to say thank you. She's always had this obsession over a boy and I don't know what you said to her, but she started getting serious about her shinobi training. It was something I could never do. So thank you again. He said, slightly bowing. I didn't really do anything. All I told her was what people did out in the shinobi world, like the bloodline purges in Kiri. People here are way too sheltered from the outside world. He said. I see. Was all he said. Well, I suppose I'll be taking you to the Namake's compound? Hokage said as the daimyo had already left. Nope, he'll be staying with me, right, Naruchan? Mikoto said, making him gulp in fear. Yes, ma'am. He said immediately. That's not fair. Hilgi Saya began but was shut up by the killing intent and glare from Mikoto. Naoba-san? Do you think we could visit Bachan at the hospital? He asked as they made their way down the road. Sure. You might even be able to do something about it. Speaking of which, there's something that happened to some of my clansmen, if you could take a look for me? She said and he smiled. Sure. And they made their way to the hospital, all the while people wondering why there was a Yandame look-alike in the village. Hospital. It didn't take them long to get to the hospital. During their way, they talked about various things, like how her youngest son had just become a genin though she didn't like the academy standards, saying it would have just gotten them killed. Luckily though, Itachi had plenty of time to help him since he wasn't a part of ANBU anymore. Naruto had heard what had happened in her clan since she wrote to him about it, and it was something he was proud of his godmother to do. They had finally reached the hospital, which was filled with heavily injured people. Naruto just looked around and could help but feel sorry for the people there. Immediately though, his medical instinct got the better than him when he felt someone was about to die with his observation Haki. Naruchan? Is there something wrong? Mikoto asked him. That man is going to die in a couple minutes if nothing is done. He said, serious, pointing to a ghostly paled man. He was seated in one of the rows with 4 tubes stuck around him. Are you going to do something about it? She smirked since she already knew the answer. He walked over to the sickly man. Just relax and everything will be all right. He told the man, who was confused but nodded. Room. A blue sphere circled around him. Scan. Seeing the infected areas, he began cutting away at the man. The nurses were yelling at him to stop. That's enough. He was called here by Hokage-sama himself to help at the hospital. You don't want to anger Tsunade-sama by hurting her grandson now, do you? Mikoto smirked at their shocked expressions. Tsunade-sama's grandson. They all exclaimed as they all watched in awe as he began cutting up the patient up with him dying. After 30 minutes of cutting and sealing him up, the man looked much healthier than before. All right then. The surgery was a success, and you just need some rest, Naruto said as he whipped the beads of sweat off his forehead. The man looked at him in awe and was thankful. He could have felt his life force slipping away and now he was going to live. Thank you? Thank you? I have no words to express how thankful I am, the man said, shaking his hand over and over. It's okay. I am a doctor. It's my job. Naruto smiled and he heard clapping from behind him, which turned to be almost every doctor and nurse in the area. Mikoto stood there with a proud smile and pulled him into a hug. That was amazing, Naruchan. she squealed. Naruto just grinned and rubbed the back of his head. Nah, it was nothing really, he said. A doctor walked up to him. If you're really helping out in the hospital, there are a couple more patients that need your type of help. Would you like it if I showed you? He asked politely. Yes. The Hokage did enlist my help in the hospital, he said, trying to not call him Gigi. He hesitated a bit because he had originally came to see if you could do something to help wake up his grandmother, but lives were at stake. Lead the way, he said. After a good couple hours or so of healing patients, he was almost done with the last patient, then he would go see his grandmother. The amount of people that had life-threatening injuries were unreal, but he managed to speed up the process. That should do it. Now you just need to rest and you'll be all better, he said. Thank you very much, the female kunoichi exclaimed, hugging him. If it's too much to ask, is there a way you could replace my arm? She asked, though she already knew the answer. Of course he can't. You can have a fully functioning arm. You were told that already. A doctor replied irritatedly. Actually, I think I can help you with that, he said, greatly shocking the nurses, doctors and even Mikoto herself, who felt pride swell up each time he saved a person's life. Why, you can replace her arm? One exclaimed, pointing to the stump there. I might look like a Namikaze, but I'm more my mother's Uzumaki heritage. He smirked, getting an eye-bugged reaction from them all, making Mikoto giggle. You guys don't know? She said, as Naruto got his sealing supplies ready. You should know him very well as the surgeon of death. Their jaws literally hit the ground, but she didn't stop. He's Naruto Namikaze, son of Minato Namikaze the Yondaime Hokage and Kushina Uzumaki, Konoha's Red Death, grandson of Tsunade Senju, direct descendant of both he first and second Hokages. And then her voice grew dark. I don't believe you people don't remember the poor little boy you all used to abuse just for the burden his father forced upon him. And with every word, the room's temperature dropped. One thing came to their still shocked minds, the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Oba-san, you're making the room feel uncomfortable, he said in a cheerful voice. He turned to the kunoichi. Please show me what's left of your arm, he said, and the woman raised her arm without a question. He drew a seal and then said, Uzumaki seal, regeneration. And instantly, right before their eyes, they saw an arm grow back to where it used to be in a light. When the light died down, they saw a perfectly healthy arm. The kunoichi began moving it, and it felt like her arm was never gone. It's be back, she said, tears running down her face. It should function just like your other arm. It should also have the same strength, but you should work with it. It doesn't feel off. He was tackled into a hug as the kunoichi thanked him over and over. I can be a kunoichi again? She asked shakenly. If that's what you want, then of course you can. He smiled and was brought into another hug. Okay, I think it's time for you to visit your grandmother, Mikoto said, pulling him up from the ground. Yeah, I should get going, he said, dusting his hat. Wait, the woman said before they left the door. Is there anything I can do to repay you? She asked. But he just opened the door, his godmother having already left. Repay me? I think I should be the one who's supposed to repay you, and then he grinned, Nico-ne-chan, and closed the door behind him, leaving a still dumbfounded staff and crying purple kunoichi. What did he mean about that? One of the nurses asked her, after seeing her happy expression. I used to be a part of the ANBU team that would protect him from mobs when he was younger, she whispered, making them flinch and look down in guilt. Yugwa, or in this case, Nico-ne-chan, smiled. I'm glad you're back, Ototo. XXXXXXXXXX. That was amazing. I didn't know you regenerate limbs, Mikoto exclaimed as they walked down the hall. Well, back in Uzushio, there were a lot of sealing books along with the medical knowledge I decided to combine the two. I know for a fact that people that have only one limb have a really hard life, especially shinobi, since it'll be the end of their career, so I decided to work on that. I sort of got the idea from the Uzumaki's general idea of regeneration. When I talked to my parents, Tusan said that he remembered Ka-san coming back from a mission once with a finger, but she had it back the next day. He said as she nodded, remembering the extraordinary ability that her friend had. I see. I actually remember earlier when I said that there was something I wanted your help in. It's that when members of my clan come back, they usually lose an eye. It's not taken, but damaged beyond the repair of even Tsunade. Do you think you can regenerate it back? She asked. Well, regenerating a normal limb and one of a Kekii Genkai are sort of different, he said, and noticed she deflated a bit. I'm not saying I can't. You're just lucky I created another seal only meant for people with Kekii Genkai. I'll take a look when we go home, he said, and she gave him a tight hug thanking him. They had finally reached his grandmother's room, and with a deep breath, he entered. His eyes softened when he saw the numbers of machines that were hooked up to her. She was his grandmother, the great Tsunade Senju, and yet she was so vulnerable. There were other nurses in the room, and one person he recognized immediately as he held back his unshed tears. Shizune? He whispered, and said woman turned around, eyes widened. There was only one person who called her that. Naruto? She exclaimed and ran to him, giving him a bone-crushing hug, which he returned. He hadn't seen her or Tsunade in about 2 years. That, and he could tell that she was worried about her. Shizen looked at the boy in front of her. He was almost going to turn 15. He was her nephew or cousin, seeing that his grandfather was her uncle, but she had seen him as a little brother, and told him to call her as such. She, like Tsunade, was angry at the village for what he had to go through when he was younger, but like Tsunade, she was happy that it didn't affect him throughout his life, that he was still a cheerful and kind boy that helps those he can without wanting something in return. She was also happy that he was here, but wondered why. Naruto, why are you here? Not that I'm against it or anything, she said, letting go of him. Well, the old man came and asked for my help. Honestly, if it weren't for the fact that Bachan was in trouble, or Miko Oba-san, or you, or Kurama's constant nagging of the need to settle down, then I wouldn't have came back. He listed off, making her giggle. Well, I'm glad that you're here. Tsunade-sama went into a coma about a week ago. There were so many life-threatening injuries. It's like the enemies are trying to cripple the village, instead of destroying it. She shook her head. Yes, I was thinking of the same thing when I read the mission reports, and now we even have Kumo that might join. Mikoto sighed. Kumo? They might join? Naruto asked from beside Tsunade's bedside, brushing her hair gently. Hi. Seeing that we might fall, Kumo might want a part of our destruction as well. Kiri is the only village we don't have to worry about due to the civil war, and Suna is our ally. Mikoto explained. Naruto just looked at his grandmother, as he thought of the situation. He was on really good terms with Kumo's Jinchuriki as well as the Reikage and a couple other shinobi after the Reikage asked for help for one of his shinobi. That and the Reikage was friends and rivals with his father, so the man had respect for him. If he told him that he had joined Konoha, he was slightly sure that Kumo would join. Then there was Kiri. After the old man had left, he went straight to help in the civil war after getting a message of help an hour before he agreed in joining Konoha. That week, he had helped defeat Yagura, the Sanbai Jinchuriki, and healed a lot of the wounded. He was pretty confident that if he asked for an alliance between Kiri and Konoha, Mei Terumi, the current Mizukage, would agree, but he wouldn't think that they would want to be dragged into another war, so for now he would be silent. Anyways, we need to find a way to wake Bachan up, Naruto said, and then began to slightly slap both sides of the woman's face. Bachan, time to wake up. You slept long enough, he said, getting a bug-eyed reaction from the nurses there and a giggle from Shizen and Mikoto. What are you doing to the nurse was cut short when they saw Tsunade start to twitch a bit. Tsunade-sama, Shizen said, trying to hold back her tears. Just a bit more, Mikoto whispered, the whole room waiting in anticipation for her to wake up. Everyone except Naruto. Bachan, the debt collectors are here, he exclaimed, and faster than anyone could comprehend what the blonde male had said. There was a blur and Tsunade Senju was fully awake and standing beside the window stand, ready to jump out. Naruto held them off. Shizen met me at the nearest dark ally, she said, and as she was about to jump, she looked back and saw a dumbfounded group and her grinning blonde grandson. She narrowed her eyes at him. What? You woke up, didn't you? He said, still grinning, making her eye twitch. You brat, she said, punching him, but not too hard, and then brought him into a hug. It's nice to see you too, Bachan, he whispered, hugging her back. Ah. Mikoto and Shizen cooed, making him turn red. It was such a beautiful family reunion. Tsunade Senju was the top medic in the Element Nations and one of Konoha's legendary Sannin. She was the granddaughter of the Shodame Hokage and grandniece of the Nine-Dame, as well as student of the Sandame Hokage and mother of the Yondame Hokage. Many people didn't actually know the last one. Her fiancé, Dan Namikaze, had died when she was pregnant with their son, and since he was the Senju heir, she hid him away. That didn't mean that she didn't look after though, but she had given him the name Namikaze to avoid suspicion. She loved Minato with all her heart, and was saddened that he passed away. She didn't return to the village in grief, and because nobody could get in contact with her, she didn't know that she had a grandson. A grandson that was sorely mistreated in the village. When she first met him, she was in denial. But he looked exactly like her son and he had her grandfather's famous wood style, and she was beyond thrilled when he told her that he was training to become a medic. Immediately she began teaching him everything, and her grandson showed that he had inherited his father's mind. He sucked everything she taught him like a sponge and was in complete awe at the abilities he showed her. She could proudly say that he would surpass her in the coming years. Ignoring them, she looked at her grandson, and then a thought occurred to her. "What are you doing in Konoha?" She questioned him as he guided her back to her bed. "Well, Gigi asked for my help. He actually came personally and all," he said, surprising her. "Sensei actually left the village?" "Well, that's a first," she said. "Swanda-sama, we are so happy that you're awake," a nurse exclaimed. Tsunade looked at them all and then glared, making them flinch. "You will not tell a soul about what happened here. Understood?" she hissed, and they nodded furiously. "You should get some rest." "You just woke up," Shizen said. "I've already been asleep," she exclaimed, pushing her out of the way, and stood up. "How long was I out?" "About a week," Mikoto said, making her eyes widen. "The hospital. What happened to the patients?" she exclaimed. "Naruto here did a couple surgeries before he came here. They keep praising his skills." Mikoto smiled, ruffling his hair. "Of course he's great. He's my grandson, what did you people expect?" She crossed her arms with a smirk, making him rub the back of his head sheepishly. "Well, now that you're awake, I think Miko-oba-san and I are going to get going. I'm so tired," Naruto whined. "You're not staying at the Senju compound?" Swanda frowned. "We need to catch up, so he'll be spending the night at the Uchiha compound," Mikoto said, grabbing his hand. "Well, it's good to see you're doing well, Swanda. See you soon." "Bye Bachan, see ya Shizune," Naruto said, and they left the hospital room. Swanda waved, and when the door closed, she smiled a soft smile and then smirked. Shizen saw this and gulped as she thought, "Watch out, Konoha, you've got two of the best medics." Naruto and Mikoto had both just arrived at the Uchiha compound when it was almost nightfall. They had a lovely walk around the village, with people giving the Uchiha matriarch a bow of respect. The girls would at him with lust, but one glare from his godmother was enough for them to turn away. They all noticed how he looked like the Yondame, and one brave villager had asked her, to which she simply replied, "Aren't children supposed to resemble their parents in a way?" and then continued walking. Internally, though, she was laughing her head off at their gaping expressions when they realized what she meant. As they arrived at the compound, the Uchiha themselves had looked at her with admiration and respect, which he could only deduct was because of her actions before. Some were giving him puzzling looks, which though they were wondering why he was here. "Kaa-san, you came back!" a 7-year-old exclaimed, running to her and giving her a fierce hug. "Satsuki-chan, how are you? I'm sorry I didn't come earlier, but you see I had to see someone very important," Mikoto answered. The little girl now known as Satsuki had looked at the blonde boy that had came with her mother, and then her eyes lit up in recognition. "Naruto and I-san?" she asked, shocking him a bit. "You told her about me?" Naruto asked. "Of course I did," Mikoto exclaimed. "Naruto, this is my youngest daughter, Satsuki Uchiha. Satsuki, this Naruto Namikaze, and he's my godson," she introduced then, earning gasps from the crowd forming around them. "Yo, it's nice to meet you, Satsuki." Naruto smiled at the little girl. "Your mother told me a lot about you." "Really?" "She told me a lot about you too. I'm glad you're back," she exclaimed, giving him a hug. The gathered crowd of Uchihas looked at the new boy and at their new clan head. All of them were pretty grateful of the shame that might have fallen on their clan if the previous clan head and elders continued with the plan. Not only did she bring back the Uchiha name, it had greatly flourished under the 7 years she led them. They could positively say that they were in the graces of the Fire Daimyo, if her connections to the boy in front of them were true, from what they heard earlier. Mikoto-sama, is he really? One of them asked Mikoto as she smiled at both her daughter and godson. Yes, he is indeed Minato and Kushina's son. She replied, he'll be staying with us for the week, so I hope you'll welcome him well. She addressed the rest of the crowd, getting cheers in response. Naruto looked up and smiled at the Uchihas. They had become less high-strung in his godmother's reign. Naoba-san, do you think I could heal your clansmen tomorrow? I sorta, don't worry. I know you're tired, so I won't push it. She patted his back. She spotted someone making their way over and waved to them. The crowd, seeing who they were, cleared a path for them. Naruto, these are my sons, Itachi and Sasuke. Boys, this is Naruto, my godchild. She introduced them. It's nice to meet you both. I've heard a lot about you from her. Naruto replied, bowing slightly and tipping his hat. It's nice to meet you too, Naruto. The same could be said about you, Itachi said as both he and his brothers bow as well. Kaa-chan told us a lot about you. Is it true that you'll be staying in Konoha now? Sasuke asked. When he was younger, his mother wanted him to meet a young boy that she said was lonely, but the day they were supposed to meet was the day he had left the village. At first he was angry that this stranger made his mother cry, but after he was told the treat he underwent, and was told the reason recently, he held a lot of respect for the blonde for even coming back. When Sasuke asked his question, there was total silence that had hung over the compound. Everyone wanted to ask the same thing, but were not sure. They unconsciously leaned forward, expecting his answer. Naruto just looked at them and chuckled. Well, I'm not quite sure yet. I signed up a contract with the Hokage for now, but I'm not sure right now. He smiled, making the raven nodded, accepting his answer. All right then, I want you three, Mikoto addressed her children, to take him to our house and help him settle in. I have an announcement to make to everyone, she said. Come on, Naruto and I'll help you, Satsuki exclaimed, and grabbed his hand, dragging him off, with her 2 older brothers behind them. Itachi looked back to see his mother giving them a warm smile. He returned. As long as his mother was happy, that's all that mattered to him. Mikoto turned to the rest of her clan men and smiled at them too. There were many of them who had husbands, brothers, or children that were wounded and were worried sick about them. Hopefully the news that she was going to tell them would brighten their day. Listen, everyone. I know everyone here has been affected badly by the war. There are a number of us who have lost our eyes and struggle with life altogether. But I bring you news. My godson Naruto has created a technique that will regenerate limbs, she said, getting collective gasps from the gathering. He will also be able to regenerate and give those of us that have lost our Sharingan back, but not today. He has had a long journey here and will rest up for the night. For now, I want a list of all those who were active shinobi but lost their eye or eyes to write down their names so they could help out in the war again. Then others later on. That will be all. You're dismissed, she said, walking off to her house to her family and godson. XXXXXXXXXXXXXX. 2 weeks had passed and the staff in the hospital couldn't help but be amazed at Naruto's skill. After he had arrived, it seemed his identity had spread throughout the village and almost all the villagers were feeling guilty and ashamed of their past actions at their Kage's son. A lot have tried to apologize, but if he wasn't at the hospital, he was either at the Uchiha or Senju compound. He had also spent some time with Ino, who had found out of his heritage after a week of his was pretty pissed that he never told her, but that didn't change their friendship. He had helped her with her training, and she had showed him different places around the village. Right now, Naruto and a lot of other shinobi as well as the Hokage and his advisors were all gathered in a training ground. They needed his skills at the battlefield after they began doing alright in the hospital. Just as Kurama predicted, they knew of his white hunter persona and wanted him to be a part of a couple teams as a combat medical nin. Naruto was to face off against one of their top shinobis, Kakashi Hatake, one of his father's students, though he knew him on a personal level. It's good to see you again, Ina and I-san. Still reading those books, I see? He said cheerfully to the giggling shinobi in front of him. Kakashi looked at him a bit shocked. You knew? He whispered, feeling guilty he couldn't do much for his sensei's son. Of course. How could I forget one of my favorite ANBU? I met Nikone the day I arrived. He smiled. It shocked everyone that you had managed to regenerate her arm. I'm so proud of you, Ototo. Kakashi said, giving him one of his closed-eye smiles. This got everyone there talking and the Hokage and his advisors smiling. When word got out of what Naruto did, especially for the Uchiha and Hyuga clans regenerating their Kekkei Genkai, they had understood where the name Miracle Worker had come from. I'm a doctor, it's my job, he said as both got into their fighting stances. This fight will be between Kakashi Hatake and Naruto Namikaze in order to see a demonstration of his skills. Hiruzen said, gaining their attention. Begin, he said, and they both jumped back. Soru. Naruto whispered and seemingly disappeared, only to appear in front of the masked Nin and kick him in the chest. Kakashi, having no time to comprehend what had happened, didn't have time to dodge it, went flying full force. Naruto didn't stop there as he went after him with a punch. Kakashi was able to dodge him and this time never held back. Hiruzen and his advisors smiled, happy at the skill that was shown, as the rest congratulated the blonde. It warmed the old man's heart that Naruto was being accepted, but guilty it took so long. Sensei would be proud of the person you've become. Kakashi waltzed over to the younger blonde who looked painfully like his sensei, a man he saw as his father more than ever. Thank you, Kakashi. Naruto smiled at the older man his father spoke fondly of in his journal. You've done well, my boy. You've made this old man proud. He hugged the boy he always saw as his grandson. Thanks, Gigi. But I'm more for healing, really, he said, swinging his sword over his shoulder. Hiruzen laughed as they walked away. You probably do. This is a bit short, but I believe this story will be put on hiatus. I currently don't have any ideas for this one since it's been a while. Don't worry, I don't abandon stories, but it will be a while until I update. Hope you enjoy, and sorry for the late update. Thanks for watching this video. You really enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow MilesGirl16 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.